Form has deserted them at just the wrong time. 3 straight defeats for the Hammers, which has seen Spurs take control in this fight for survival. They go to Chelsea tomorrow night, knowing now that because of their superior goal difference, in effect, 1 point would be enough to see them survive in the Premier League and relegate West Ham United, who've got Leeds on the final day. Spurs have Everton on the final day. It might not go to that. Jamie, I suppose the big question for West Ham United was how they were going to react to that real gut-wrenching defeat against Arsenal last week, in which Nuno Espirito Santo went with a back 3 or a back 5, and that was successful against Manchester City in the home game. But did you expect him to go back to the back 4 that had served them so well?
Yes, because, as I said, the results have been fantastic, especially since the 2 strikers came in, I think, in January. Not scored a lot of goals, but they've been part of sort of a unit or a front 4 where they've had great results on the back of that. You go back to the Brentford game where we came on the show and we analysed the game. It was a bad result. It wasn't a bad performance. Now, he did something different against Arsenal. Totally understandable. You think of set pieces, you bring an extra centre-back in, you're playing the best team in the country. So you understand maybe we have to do something different. We can't play 4-2-4. But when I saw they were going with the same system, and I'm not just saying this after the event, I think we were all, messaging each other before the game thinking, I don't like the look of that. Because we're getting to the stage now where you have to go and win the game.
I think West Ham fans were probably doing the same thing, Jamie, messaging each other saying, "What this team worries me." I mean, we did have a look today at West Ham's results with a back 3, and there's the evidence, Jamie, under Nuno, they haven't actually won. And this is a game they probably did need to win.
Yeah, and listen, Nuno knows this system brilliantly. I mean, he used it so often with Wolves, but it hasn't proven to be successful. And the real success has come with 4-4-2. So for me, I think it was a big mistake what he did. And I think he realised that after 25, 30 minutes, but it was too late.
Let's see what that looked like then.
Well, there's different ways of playing systems. Now, I wanted to go back to the Arsenal game and say why it was a good idea. Again, set pieces and you're playing the best team in the country. So we're running on now, and this wasn't a game where Arsenal were trying to get after Arsenal. So it wasn't a case of the ball goes back, that front 3, whether it's a back 4, it's a back 5, but you still have that front 3. They're not really looking to press and get after Arsenal defensively, understandably so. It's a game where you want to sort of sit in, and you look at Nuno here, he's actually telling Wan-Bissaka, don't go pressing there, stay back. Look, you can see Nuno, no, that's not the idea. We're not looking to press, we'll stay in our shape, and we'll go from there. And hopefully we might nick a draw, we might nick something on a set piece or a counter-attack. You see, it's more of a back 5, and you see the positions of the wing-backs. This is really important than when we go to what happened at Newcastle. Wan-Bissaka and Juve, part of a back 5. So you see Arsenal then, they progress the ball through the pitch. Not too much aggression for West Ham maybe to win it back, but what they do is, as you expect, a West Ham and a Nuno team playing like this, with this system, is they get back into shape, deep in their own half, but again, understandable because you're playing Arsenal. So you see the back 5, you see the 4, and you see the 1. 5-4-1, that was Wolves under Nuno. That's what they did all the time, in their own half. Now, they played the same system, but they went about it differently at Newcastle. So we'll look how they set up on the first goal kick defensively. Now, what I should add in, this is analysis of Newcastle as well. So this is a 4-4-2 of Newcastle, v a 3-4-3 or a 5-2-3 of West Ham. So it's really interesting who presses who. So you see Souček, do I go in there? Watch his left arm now. He's looking over his shoulder, he's worried, who's getting him? So that tells you straight away, they're not quite sure who should be picking up who. The big problem for West Ham, and great from Newcastle, was the position of Ramsey in an inside left position. Not wide left here, inside left, and Walter Mada in a number 10 position, in between the lines, if you like. So that caused a huge problem for West Ham. So on this situation now, you could say, when we stop it there, West Ham have done quite well. They forced them to one side. Disasi here is coming in with Ramsey. Again, so you've got a right-sided centre-back in the back 3 going in with the left midfield player tucked in. Really aggressive. Now, as this ball comes in, you think, well, if you're going to go, you might as well really go and go the full 5 yards. But when you press man-to-man, you better have defenders who can cope 1v1 on the halfway line. So that was the first time they really pressed in. We can see what the idea is, but with players not really understanding who they should be picking up. Mavropanos makes a mistake, and Newcastle are very lucky to get away with that situation at 0-0. But you can see straight away they're not sure what to do or who should be playing. So we highlight Fernandes here. So again, when you're man marking, don't forget the system. Newcastle are playing 4-4-2. He's your midfield player, Guimaraes. He checks his shoulder, sees Waltemada, then drops off. Again, they're all in-between players. Because you're coming up against a different system, you're not sure what to do. Souček goes to do the same and press. Then he puts the brakes on because he knows Ramsey's between the lines. Again, players not sure what to do. Centre-backs not sure when to jump. And this is credit to Newcastle as well. It's not just about a West Ham story, this. It's one system via another system causing it problems and players being unsure who they should go with. Waltemada drops deep again. So man-to-man marking. Man-to-man marking. What kills man-to-man? Players running off people. And one player here, Waltemada, makes this run. Fernandes just loses him for a second and the whole system falls apart. No thought of covering the space because I've got my man. That's what kills man-to-man marking. And that was a massive problem for West Ham right throughout this game. But then we go to the first goal, Patrick.
Yes, of course. And I think it was quite really challenging and quite really difficult for the midfielder of West Ham because they didn't know if they wanted to go to press higher. Because when they were decided to go, there was always a big space behind their back. And I think there was like, what we're doing, we're going or we're staying. And I think when they concede that first goal coming from the throw-in, there's not so much pressure from Newcastle. So what makes me a little bit confused in this situation is when I look at the body position of the left centre back, Todibo, I don't know if he really won the ball. His body position doesn't tell me that he won the ball. So it looked like he want the keepers to go long and the keeper want to play short. So for me, in this situation, I would like my central back to be a little bit more deeper to give an option so he can create the distances between himself and the striker from Newcastle. And I think his position wasn't right. The keeper decided to play and there is a technical mistake. And here, Todibo has to be more aggressive. They're in a situation where they are not defensively organized. He has to make a foul. His first option here is to make a foul. But then, as a coach, you're always looking at how the team will react when you lose the ball. And then you're looking at here, where Saka has to be more determined. We lose the ball, we are in a defensive transition, his mindset has to change. He has to change his mindset and he has to come to help the defensive side of the game. And of course, if you go back a little bit, you can look at Souček's decision. He went for the cutback and the ball came inside and they conceded a goal. So I think on the defensive transition, there were quite a lack of organisation in that situation.
Now we get to the second goal. Again, they got the same problems. So we'll run it on. This is West Ham again, trying to implement the man-to-man marking system. Souček again, as we've seen, again, arms out. Not quite sure whether he should go forward or come back. Who are the big problems? Ramsey between the lines. Waltemada, again, huge problem. They then switch it to the other side. So Souček, who thinks, don't forget, he's going to go forward and press. He now sees the situation with Waltemada and ends up filling in here because the centre-backs are not quite sure whether he should step out. So the whole plan is for him to be pressing central midfield players. But he's with one of the strikers now. Because again, you've got a system where people are looking at each other and thinking, do I press there? Do I go there? They weren't aware who they should be picking up. And it was one system via another. Then look at the space of Ramsey, checks his shoulder. As soon as that happens, and you're employing a man-to-man marking system, you know you're dead. You're finished. It's over. You can't allow someone to turn there, but that comes from the confusion of players not sure who they should be picking up. Now, what happens in this situation here? You see the distance. Now, man-to-man marking is a huge part of football now with every team. We see this, we highlight it on this show. But when does man-to-man marking stop and you go back to zonal? Because in a situation like that, there's two managers I think of. You think of Marcelo Bielsa and Gasperini, who used to manage Atalanta. And he would say, you stay with that man until this play is over. Whereas I have a little bit of sympathy with Zazi in this position, because if I was a right-sided centre-back in a back three, once Ramsey plays this ball on now, I think I'd find it difficult to follow and run across the pitch. But this, again, this is what hurts man-to-man marking. He's not sure whether to go there because he thinks, my position's really here. So you have a situation where he doesn't do anything. He should have either come back here or fully gone with him. But that's the thing that you have, and it comes back to the confusion. The run across the pitch, or the running behind like we saw from Walter Mardet, is what really hurts man-to-man marking. And that's a big thing in football now. When do you stop man-to-man marking, or do you go back to zone? But they got it horribly wrong.
So this is something else that we checked. We wondered if West Ham knew something that perhaps we didn't in terms of what Newcastle's success rate was like against teams with a back three. So this is since December 2024, and you can see that Newcastle, when facing a back three, have actually won 12 of 15 and only been beaten once. Does that suggest that this is just a mistake, Patrick, from West Ham in the approach of this game?
Yeah, I think the approach was wrong, and I think this is why the manager decided to change after 20 minutes. But maybe it was a bit too late. And I think to play in that system really suit Newcastle quality. More space there is, and more Newcastle forward expresses their talent, because you have space, they are really good in the 1v1, and they managed to win the game.
Which leaves West Ham in a precarious position, doesn't it, now? They felt they really need to get something from Newcastle, given the fact they're already 2 points behind Spurs. And as I say, again, with that goal difference, which Spurs have a 13-goal superiority on. So that's not going to change. So really it means that they have to hope that Spurs lose 2 games. Otherwise, it will be curtains for West Ham United. So we asked West Ham fans through the Finalysis app, will they avoid relegation? 5% say yes! 49% say no, and 46% say it will take a miracle. But perhaps there is a little bit of hope when we consider Spurs' record at Stamford Bridge. And of course, I'm sure this is filling the chat groups amongst West Ham fans right now. It certainly will be among Spurs fans as well, no doubt, because in the 33 visits there in the Premier League, Spurs have won just once. But we also know they've drawn there 11 times, and a draw might well be enough. Is that hope for them?
No.
Do you think Spurs can get something at Chelsea tomorrow?
I think Spurs can get something from at Stamford Bridge. But I think the games that they lost was too much for Newcastle. For West Ham. I've seen West Ham going down. I feel disappointed, because it's a big club, a huge club in England, and to see them in that position is quite sad. But I think it's too late for them to hope to survive.
They'll be keeping everything crossed tonight when we go to Stamford Bridge and bring it.
Welcome back. Xabi Alonso says he wants to build a team capable of competing consistently at the highest level and fighting for trophies. Clinton, when we look at a club like Chelsea, will he get the time to do that?
Yeah, I think he'll get the time, Xabi Alonso, for sure. I think he's a top manager. I think it's a great appointment for Chelsea, unbelievable appointment for Chelsea, and I do think he'll get the time. The one thing he'll do, once he gets in there, he'll earn the respect from the players. As I said it a lot of times, for what he's done in his career as a player, and then what he's done as a manager at Bayer Leverkusen when he got them the league, in a very competitive league, winning the title, I think he'll earn the respect there, Xabi Alonso, yeah. And what a fantastic player as well. So I think he'll do a good job at Chelsea.
You say he'll earn the respect from the players. I guess the one question mark is he hasn't managed in the Premier League?
No, and that is a question mark. But I can guarantee you ask Liverpool fans now, they'll take Xabi Alonso. That's not being, obviously, talking anything bad on Arne Slot. I just think if Arne Slot wasn't at Liverpool, Liverpool would move for Xabi Alonso straight away, because the things he's done at that football club, and he was amazing. And I still think he's a really good manager. And I know a lot of people can say, oh, he hasn't had the experience and it didn't work out at Real Madrid, but Real Madrid have had a bad season. So, Jose is going to go in there and try and fix it. But what I'm saying is, even though he hasn't managed in the Premier League, look at what he's done in other countries as a manager, and he's done ever so well. So I think he'll come in, earn the respect and do well here.
Interesting as well that Chelsea have given him the manager tag and not head coach.
Well, that says a lot to me. So that says to me, you respect the manager a lot and you want him to be manager, and can he be involved in terms of players coming in and players leaving? Because usually it's the hierarchy at Chelsea that do that. But I think now that says a lot, that they respect Xabi Alonso, and they've basically said, the ball's in your court, go and win us the Premier League or make us challenge next season or bring us a trophy to the football club. And I think you do that. I think Chelsea have got themselves a really bright manager.
Let's bring Dave into the conversation then, because it's not going to be easy, is it, for Xabi Alonso?
No, it is not. What does he have to sort out at Chelsea first? We have picked out 4 priorities for the new manager at Stamford Bridge. And first, on our desk here tonight, get back into the Champions League and challenge for major trophies. There is a scenario that Chelsea might miss out on European football altogether for next season. It'll be up to Alonso to get Chelsea back to the top table. They have, though, appointed one of the most respected young coaches in European football. He has won major honours as a player and a coach and delivered historic success at Bayer Leverkusen. He led them to an unbeaten domestic season, guiding them to their first Bundesliga title and cup success too. He became the youngest manager in the top 5 leagues in the last 15 years to achieve a domestic double. Vincent Kompany could beat that record this weekend. Number 2 on the list is recruit and retain the right players. That starts with a winning culture, but also crucially for Alonso, collaborating on strategy and recruitment. We're told that Alonso will have to sit down with players like Enzo Fernandez and Marc Cucurella, get their immediate futures confirmed. Alonso will be involved in the buying and selling of players. And will his first decision be around recruiting experience? We have the average age of starting lineups in the Premier League this season. Chelsea right at the top, by far the youngest, the only side in the division with an average age of their starting lineup under 25 this season. And we've also gone on then to break down Chelsea's squad by age, showing each player to have been involved in 300 or more Premier League minutes this season. What this tells us, nearly 60% of the players used this season are under 25. We have also defined this green block as peak age players. Those are between the ages of 25 and 28. Traditionally, that's when players get the most minutes of their careers. So Alonso will want players either in their peak or coming into their peak in the next 18 months. So you're looking at players like Cole Palmer, Joao Pedro, Moises Caicedo in this little group here, coming into that bracket in the next 12 to 18 months or so. He'll also be looking to keep the likes of Reece James and Trevor Chalobah for the best years of their careers. The main issue here, though, is that Chelsea don't have anyone beyond the age of 28. So does that mean that their squad is unbalanced? Are seasoned, experienced players required to take Chelsea to major trophies? Crucially, for the new boss, he has to manage relationships with the club. There will be no changes to the leadership structure at Chelsea. We're told there is strong alignment about the development of the squad. Alonso will need to be a strong communicator internally and externally, something his predecessors have had issues with.
Since I joined the club, the last 48 hours has been the worst 48 hours since I joined the club, because many people didn't support us. Worst 48 hours since I joined the club, because people didn't support me and the team.
They're behind you and optimistic of long-term success. Have you felt that support from the owners?
100%. They've been supportive of me in our daily conversations. The sporting directors involved, they've been magnificent in their support of me and the team.
And that leads us on to managing the media quite nicely. The Chelsea job, one of the most high profile in the Premier League, plenty of scrutiny. Alonso's experience at Real Madrid will be valuable in that respect. He also has a playing career at some of the biggest clubs in the world to fall back onto. The Chelsea hierarchy believe lessons have been learned. It's now Alonso's job to get it right.
It is. It's a packed in tray, isn't it, Clinton? What are the big things that need changing?
The squad needs changing for sure. Like, I feel they need some new players in, and they need some experienced players in certain areas, and we've said that many a times. They've got a good enough squad, but I think the squad's just too big and there's too many players in the same position. So I think they need to the first thing he'll go in there is, look, as Dave said, he'll speak to the likes of Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez and say, Enzo Fernandez, you keep talking about you like to live in Real Madrid one day, or in Madrid, sorry. So do you want to go to Real Madrid or do you want to stay here at Chelsea? He'll have conversations with these top players like Cole Palmer, Caicedo, the João Pedros, and see where their heads are. And then he'll probably want to start building the team around those certain players and then bring in new players. But they do need to bring in new players because at the moment, I don't think that squad of players are good enough to go and challenge in the Premier League. They've got very good individual players, for sure. But as a team collectively, I think they should be doing better. And Reece James as well, who I think's unbelievable player.
But you do think he's the right man to...
Yeah. What an appointment. Chelsea fans will be buzzing to get Xabi Alonso. It's a great appointment. But what I've heard a lot about him, he's a very good manager, very detailed on the training pitch.
Tomorrow night against Tottenham Hotspur. But let's talk about the new face in the dugout next season after the club appointed Xabi Alonso on a 4-year deal. Let's cross live to the club's training ground now and speak to our reporter, James Savundra. Good morning, James. Why Xabi Alonso?
Good morning, Tom. He was the #1 candidate on a shortlist of around 5 names. Chelsea felt that his experiences and successes as a player and as a manager made him the outstanding candidate and the successor to Liam Rossini. Let's look at what he did at Bayer Leverkusen. In his first full season, they won the Bundesliga for the first time. They won the German Cup as well. And in that first full season, they went unbeaten in 51 matches. The only defeat that season came in the Europa League final against Atalanta, denying him the chance to win the treble. The only question marks will come when it comes to his spell at Real Madrid. Following his success in the Bundesliga, he got the role at Real Madrid, the club he played for before, but a 3-year contract was given to him. He lasted less than 8 months. It felt that internal politics got the better of him. He left the club in January by mutual consent. But Chelsea, they're not concerned about that spell at Real Madrid. It's happened to some of the best managers in the world, and he left the club with a win percentage of more than 70% as well. So he signed a 4-year contract and he'll start work on the 1st of July.
Yeah, well, will things be different at Stamford Bridge, though, compared to how other managers have had it?
Well, unlike previous appointments, Alonso has been named the manager rather than the head coach. We saw those in the past get the role of head coach and the role very much be on the training ground, managing that team. But Alonso, because of his experience and his leadership ability, Chelsea feel he has the ability to guide the club and evolve the club in all areas of the football club. So that is why he's been given the role as manager. We know Chelsea have 5 sporting directors, but Alonso will be involved with them when it comes to collaborating on transfer plans. He'll be involved in the process of buying and selling players. Chelsea accept that maybe there has been some mistakes made in the past and they need to tweak their transfer policy. And this summer we can expect them to sign 3 or 4 ready-made first-team players. We know they're going to look at a centre-back in particular, but Alonso will be heavily involved in the recruitment process. In the past, the likes of Enzo Maresca and Mauricio Pochettino grew a little bit frustrated about the lack of control they had at other areas of the football club, but Alonso will have his fingerprints on every area of the club. Chelsea know that the disconnect is there between themselves and the fan base based on what has happened over the course of the last few years. We did see a protest outside Wembley at the weekend. We must say it was quite a small protest, but there does feel there is a bit of a disconnect there between the fans and the club. The club are learning from this and they want to make the right appointment. They feel they've done so, bringing Alonso to the football club. Before all that, though, they have 2 really important Premier League matches. They take on Tottenham tomorrow, Sunderland on the final day of the season. If they win those final 2 matches, you'd think with their superior goal difference, they would secure a top 8 finish, which would mean at least Conference League football for Alonso next season. Whether or not he'll see that as a good thing, more time on the training ground without those games in midweek may be a benefit to him. But Chelsea, of course, they want to be in Europe next season. So win these next 2 matches, including that game against arch rivals Tottenham, and they do put themselves in a good position. So we're hearing from Callum McFarlane, the Chelsea interim head coach, at 11 a.m. I'll bring that to you later today on Sky Sports News.
Thanks, James. We'll get into this in more depth later on in the show, but just on that, Tim, with Alonso going to Chelsea, specifically on the fact that he's manager rather than head coach, what do you read into that, and does it matter?
It's just a title. But obviously, I think Xabi would have said, I want to be called the manager, just for the outside noise. to let everyone know that he's going to be in charge, or a lot more in charge than previous managers have been at Chelsea. There's obviously going to be a structural change there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have took the job. No, who would? You know, if someone like Xabi Alonso, one of the best up-and-coming managers in world football, would have had a few opportunities to go to different clubs, that he's decided to go to Chelsea because he spoke to the owners and they obviously told him there's going to be a structural change. Why would he go in there under that regime and manage like the previous couple of managers, for instance, maybe 3 managers have gone in there. So I think it's good news for Chelsea fans. I think they're going to get a manager who's going to be in control. You need football people in control. He's a serial winner as a player and as a manager. Leverkusen was outstanding, the job he done to fend off Bayern Munich in that season. So I think it's a really good appointment. I really do.
Much more on Chelsea to come. But now to Chelsea's new manager, Xabi Alonso. Fans are looking to next season with renewed hope, with one of the most highly thought of young managers in the dugout. He was sacked by Real Madrid in January, but it's worth a reminder of his achievements before that. He took over Bayer Leverkusen when they were in the relegation zone and led them to their first ever Bundesliga title the next year in an unprecedented, unbeaten double-winning season. So, Tim, with that in mind, how well have Chelsea done to get him?
I think they've done very well. Obviously, with the speculations surrounding Arne Slot as well at Liverpool, uncertainty over his future. I'm sure Xabi Alonso's people would have spoke to Liverpool and to see if there was going to be a vacancy there, and he's decided that he wants to go to Chelsea. They wanted him now, bringing him in the summer. I think it gives Xabi an opportunity to look at the last couple of games. I'm sure he was kept his eye on the cup final, and as I said, I thought they performed very well. It was almost like someone was looking over them, someone they wanted to impress, which is encouraging for the Chelsea hierarchy, that they've managed to secure the services of a very bright up-and-coming manager. And he's had success as a manager previously. But when he was at Leverkusen, he run the whole shebang. He run every single part of the football inside, and that is hence why they were successful. And they kept Bayern Munich at bay to win the league.
Are you suggesting he's not going to get that at Chelsea?
No, I think he will. Otherwise, he wouldn't have took the job. That's why I think it's really encouraging for the Chelsea fans. And this appointment really is, because this guy's not going to get pulled out all over the place. He's not a puppet. He's not going in there to get pulled around. He had a lot of choices to go to different clubs. He's chose Chelsea Football Club because I believe the hierarchy have decided enough's enough. They've got to rip up what they felt was a good structure previously, and they're going to let a football man take control of the football inside. Yes, he's going to need some help. He's going to lean on the sporting directors. He's going to lean on the recruitment and the sports science. But he's going to have the ultimate say. And I think it's the only way you can get success at a football club.
We've got a voice note from Stuart on the appointment.
I think Xabi Alonso is a great appointment for Chelsea. As long as the board do what they're going to do and say what they're going to say and let him manage and let him have full control of the football club.
Yeah, it sounds like Stuart there agreeing with you on that, Tim. It won't help, though. There has been fan protests against the owners.
Yeah.
But does this suggest that they have actually listened?
Yeah, I'm encouraged by that. You know, I think players have too much control at the moment, and I think they've recognised that. How many more managers does Chelsea players have to throw under the bus? You know, the managers should be allowed to manage. And if the players leapfrog the manager to go and speak to the sporting directors or the owners of the football club, straight away it weakens the strength of your manager, who's there to control that dressing room and make sure he gets the best out of the group on the field. And if he does that, if everything's good on the field, the noise from the outside, there's no protest, there's no noise from the outside. No matter how disgruntled they are with the ownership, they want their team to win. That's what they pay their money for, to win. And Chelsea Football Club are used to winning the biggest trophies, and they need to get back to that. And I don't think they're a million miles away. But I'm encouraged the fact that the Chelsea hierarchy have said, you know what, it's not working. And it takes a strong board to be able to change their mind and not be stubborn. And just think, you know, if we can find the right person, and we believe we found one, and not only is he right, he's not a dinosaur, he's a young man who's up and coming, he's growing with the game, but he's had success already. I think it's really encouraging, certainly for the Chelsea fans, and certainly for Xabi Alonso. What a job to go into. He knows he's got unlimited funds, relatively unlimited funds. The problem he's going to have, Tom, is that he's going to have a bomb squad again, like Pochettino had. There's going to be a group of players who he doesn't want. They need to work very hard in the background. Then 5 sporting directors need to work hard, not only to bring players into the club, but get rid of the dead wood who he doesn't want. He will recognise that in the next couple of games. I can do without him being here. Get him out the door and then let him handpick the ones he wants to bring to the club.
Yeah, I suppose this appointment at this time gives him time to actually make that decision as well, doesn't
Absolutely,
it? When the transfer window opens. In terms of transfers, we are expecting them to target more experience, which they haven't done the last few transfer windows. And in fairness, when he got the Leverkusen job, he went straight away and bought Granit Xhaka, who was an experienced player. Is it that kind of player, someone who's been there at the top, who maybe is the wrong side of 30, that can come and really help him on the pitch?
Yeah, possibly. I think you can only have good young ones if you've got fantastic good ones, older ones. And they help him on the pitch, because he can't be in that dressing room all of the time. And it's not only when he sees them on the pitch, it's what they're doing off the pitch as well. And they need leaders, they need examples. And I'm not sure there's too many great examples for the young boys to look at Chelsea. And that comes with age, but it also comes with experience. Not necessarily in age, but a lot of games. I think Premier League proven players is what they need. I think he knows what it takes to play in the Premier League. He knows what it takes to win wherever he's gone. He's a serial winner. I think he will highlight a little bit more experience, certainly, but not just age with quality and the personality to be able to breed it, the good things, to the younger boys.
Can they win the title next season?
Well, why not? Well, I think it's a wide open season next year. I think if Arsenal were to get over the line, I think they'll be the biggest threat, because of that confidence, where they stick their chest out all of a sudden. They've done it now. We're only asking one question about Arsenal. Have they got the bottle to be able to do it? If they manage to get over the line, which we expect them to do, I think they'll be the biggest threat. Man City, as we talked about, Pep Guardiola is going to leave them. If he leaves them, he's going to leave them with a really, really good squad of young players, play attractive football. Liverpool can't be any worse than what they've been this season. And I think Chelsea has the finances to be able to give it to Xabi Alonso and strengthen, along with Manchester United as well. So, wow, can't wait till next year.
Yeah, right. Much